Imagine waking up to find your own body turning against you, becoming poisonous from the inside out. Picture lying in a hospital bed, thousands of miles from home, as doctors call your family to tell them to fly in immediately, not for a visit, but to say their final goodbyes. Now imagine surviving that nightmare not once, not twice, but after 7 separate surgeries, only to be told you'll need your skin completely rebuilt because the infection literally ate your flesh away. This isn't the plot of a horror movie. This is the real-life story of one of dancehall music's most iconic queens, and the reason she completely reinvented herself in 2026. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on Grace LaToya Hamilton, the woman the world knows as Spice, to uncover her exact net worth, explore the mansion she calls home, and discover how a near-death experience transformed her into a completely different person. But here's the thing. Just when you think you understand who Spice is, she's about to shock you again. Because the woman who built her empire on unapologetic, in-your-face sexuality just dropped a gospel album and then flipped right back to dancehall, leaving fans wondering which version is the real one. By the time we're done today, you'll understand not just what this woman owns, but who she actually is when the cameras stop rolling. To understand where Spice is today, you have to understand where she came from, and let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. Born in Spanish Town, Jamaica, Grace Hamilton grew up in circumstances that would have broken most people. We're talking genuine poverty, the kind where you don't know where your next meal is coming from. But here's what's fascinating. She grew up singing in the church. That little girl belting out gospel hymns had no idea that decades later, she'd come full circle, using those same vocal cords to praise God after cheating death itself. Her journey into music started in the late 1990s when she was just a teenager, but getting noticed in Jamaica's brutal dancehall scene wasn't easy. In 2000, she got her first major break at Sting, Jamaica's most famous stage show, when legendary DJ Ninja Man spotted her talent and called her on stage. That moment changed everything. But even with that exposure, success didn't come overnight. She struggled for years, facing the same industry gatekeepers who didn't know what to do with a woman who refused to be silenced. It wasn't until 2005 that she caught her first real break when Baby Cham introduced her to super producer Dave Kelly, leading to her first hit single, Fight Over Man. But the song that really changed the game came in 2009, and it almost destroyed her career before it truly began. You cannot tell the story of Spice without talking about Ramping Shop with Vybz Kartel, and you cannot tell that story without talking about controversy. When that song dropped, it wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural earthquake. The chemistry between Spice and Kartel was undeniable, the lyrics were explicit, and the entire Caribbean lost its collective mind. Jamaica's Broadcasting Commission actually issued a directive ordering radio stations to stop playing it. Think about that. The government stepped in to ban a song, and what happened? Exactly what always happens. The ban made it even more popular. Ramping Shop spent 15 weeks on Billboard's Hot R&B/hip-hop songs chart. 15 weeks. For a Jamaican dancehall song with explicit patois lyrics, that's not just success, that's a phenomenon. But here's the thing about building your career on shock value. Eventually, you have to show people there's more to you than just controversy. And for years, Spice struggled with that balance. She was labeled slackness, Jamaican patois for vulgar or lewd content. Critics dismissed her as just another explicit artist. They didn't see the businesswoman building an empire. They didn't see the single mother raising children while touring the world. They certainly didn't see a Grammy nominee. But in 2021, everything changed when her debut album, 10, earned a nomination for Best Reggae Album at the 64th Grammy Awards. That nomination wasn't just personal validation, it was historic. Spice became the first hardcore female dancehall artist to receive a Grammy nomination. She had proven that you could be unapologetically sexual and artistically legitimate at the same time. Now let's talk about the money, because that's really why you're here, isn't it? What is the Queen of Dancehall actually worth in 2026? Based on her extensive catalog, sold-out tours, television appearances, and business ventures, industry insiders estimate Spice's net worth to be between $8 million and $12 million. But here's what's interesting. That number might actually be conservative. Because Spice isn't just an artist anymore. She's a businesswoman who owns her own masters and controls her own destiny. In 2024, she released her third studio album, Mirror 25, through her own company, Spice Official Entertainment. Do you understand how significant that is? Most artists, even huge ones, sign away their rights for decades. They get advances, sure, but they don't own their work. Spice, after 25 years in the industry, decided she wanted complete control. That album dropped with 26 tracks, 26, and featured collaborations spanning Afrobeats, soca, R&B, country, and of course, hardcore dancehall. We're not just talking about music sales either. Spice has over 433 million YouTube views. That's hundreds of millions of streams, generating revenue year after year. She's appeared on VH1's Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta for multiple seasons, reportedly earning six figures per season. She's done endorsement deals, hosted events, and built a brand that extends far beyond music. But here's what I really want you to understand about her wealth. It almost all went away in 2022, and she almost went away with it. Let me take you back to November 2022. Spice was in the Dominican Republic. She had undergone a breast augmentation procedure, which is routine for celebrities looking to enhance their image. But while she was there, something went catastrophically wrong. A hernia she didn't even know she had erupted, and her body went into septic shock. For those who don't know, sepsis is what happens when your body's response to infection starts damaging its own tissues and organs. It's frequently fatal. Spice describes her body as becoming poisonous. The infection attacked her lungs, her liver, her organs. Doctors rushed her into emergency surgery to repair the hernia, but that was just the beginning. They had to cut her body open from top down. And even after that emergency surgery, the sepsis continued to ravage her body. She required 7 surgeries total, 7, to save her life. Her final surgery wasn't until 2024. For nearly 2 years, she was in and out of hospitals, recovering, healing, processing the fact that she had literally come back from the dead. Now, here's where this story takes its most fascinating turn. After surviving something that traumatic, most people would slow down. They'd take it easy, smell the roses, maybe retire to a beach somewhere, and count their blessings. Spice did the opposite. She channeled that near-death experience directly into her art, but not in the way you might expect. In October 2025, she released a gospel song called God Don't Play About Me. Think about that for a second. The woman who built her career on songs with titles we can't even say on YouTube without demonetization suddenly dropped a worship track. And it wasn't just a one-off. She announced she was working on an entire gospel album. She changed her look too, ditched the famous blue hair that had become her signature, and went with a softer auburn shade she called pumpkin spice. She started talking differently, carrying herself differently. She even hired former Miss World and Jamaican parliamentarian Lisa Hanna to coach her on maintaining poise and sophistication. Spice told the press that she was entering what she called her soft girl era, a lifestyle focused on softness, self-care, femininity, and emotional well-being. She said, quote, "It's the season where I choose peace over chaos, beauty over burnout, and intentional living over survival mode. I no longer answer to everyone or everything that bothers me." She shot a video for her Soft Girl Era single in Miami with over 10 wardrobe changes, high fashion looks, vintage aesthetics. The song hit #1 on the reggae iTunes chart in the United States, the United Kingdom, Italy, Switzerland, and several other countries. It seemed like Spice had fundamentally transformed. The old Spice, the one who would cuss out the people dem if them call me name, was gone. In her place was a softer, more spiritual, more peaceful version. And then, just when everyone had accepted this new identity, she flipped the script again. February 2026. After a brief gospel detour that had fans wondering if she was leaving secular music behind permanently, Spice dropped Clean and Fresh. And let me tell you, there is nothing soft about this return. Produced by DJ Mac and Crash Drummy over the WYFL rhythm, Clean and Fresh is pure, unfiltered dancehall. It hit #1 on the iTunes Top 100 reggae songs within 24 hours. The blue hair is back. The boldness is back. But here's what's interesting. Spice insists this isn't a contradiction. She calls her journey recalibration, not reinvention. The gospel music wasn't a departure. It was a testimony. And the return to dancehall isn't a retreat. It's an integration. She's found a way to be both the woman who praises God and the Queen of Dancehall who represents a culture that isn't always polite or proper. In her own words, Clean and Fresh is about owning your presence, honoring your body, and stepping into every moment with freshness, freedom, and fearless self-love. Notice she didn't say it's about being demure or quiet or acceptable. It's about honoring your body, a body that nearly died, that was cut open from top to bottom, that lost its skin and grew it back. When Spice talks about honoring your body now, she means something very different than she did in 2009. She's earned the right to define what that means. So where does the Queen of Dancehall actually live? Let's take a tour of the properties that her millions have built. Spice currently splits her time between two primary residences, and they reflect the duality of her life and career. Her main base of operations is in Atlanta, Georgia. She moved there years ago as her American career took off, particularly during her love and hip-hop years. Atlanta makes sense strategically. It's a major hub for entertainment, a city with a huge Caribbean population, and it's centrally located for touring the United States. Her Atlanta home is a sprawling modern mansion in one of the city's affluent suburbs, complete with a professional-grade recording studio where she's crafted much of her recent material. But she hasn't forgotten her roots. She maintains strong ties to Jamaica, and while she may not have a primary residence there currently, she visits frequently and has family throughout the island. She grew up in Portmore, a bustling suburb of Kingston, and that community shaped everything about her. In terms of specific details about her Jamaican property holdings, Spice keeps those cards close to her chest, which is smart. In a country where fame can make you a target, the smart celebrities don't publicize exactly where they sleep at night. But we know she's invested in Jamaican real estate. She has to, given how often she returns for performances and family visits. Now, let's talk about the cars, the jewelry, the lifestyle. Spice has always been open about her love for luxury. She's frequently photographed in designer outfits, dripping in diamonds, arriving at events in luxury vehicles. Her collection includes a Range Rover, practically mandatory for celebrities in Atlanta, along with various other high-end vehicles. But here's what's interesting about Spice's spending. She's also incredibly generous. After Hurricane Melissa devastated parts of Jamaica in late 2025, Spice shifted her focus to humanitarian efforts, providing building supplies for families in St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland. She didn't just write a check and post about it on Instagram. She actually pivoted her schedule, spending time on the ground helping her people recover. This is the Spice you don't see in the music videos or the reality TV shows. This is the woman who remembers what it feels like to have nothing, who knows that but for the grace of God and a few lucky breaks, she could still be struggling in Portmore. Her children, son Nicholas, who's now 18, and daughter Nicolatoy, who's 14, are central to her life. Nicholas has even appeared on her records, spitting a verse about corrupt policing on the song, Papa, that showed he inherited his mother's talent and social consciousness. Spice is building generational wealth, not just flashy purchases. That's the difference between someone who's famous and someone who's truly wealthy. I want to dig deeper into Mirror 25 because that album is really the key to understanding who Spice is in 2026. Released in August 2024, it celebrated her 25th anniversary in the music industry. The concept was brilliant. She imagined herself in the year 2085 as an old woman looking back on her life and spilling all the tea. The first single, 2085 Tea, features Spice in full grandmother makeup, gray wig, pearls, sitting in front of a vintage TV, dishing on everyone from her children's father to her love and hip-hop castmates. The transformation took 6 hours of prosthetic application to make her face look authentically wrinkled. But here's what makes the song genius. Instead of gossiping about others, she used the concept to tell her own story. She spilled tea on herself. The album spans 25 tracks because 25 years, and it includes collaborations with everyone from Busta Rhymes to Chronic Law to Ireland Boss. There's an Afrobeats track, a soca track, R&B, country, and of course, hardcore dancehall. It's not just an album, it's a statement. Spice can do anything. She's not confined to one genre, one image, one expectation. And the country track with Busta Rhymes called Round Round came from a relationship built when Busta invited her to perform at the BET Awards' 50th anniversary of hip-hop celebration in 2023. That performance itself was controversial. Some people thought she danced too provocatively for the occasion, but Spice was unapologetic. She said, "I'm always going to authentically represent dancehall culture." That's the through line in all of this. Whether she's praising God or whining her waist, it's authentic. It's her. Now, I need to address something that might be confusing if you've done any research on your own. If you've looked up Spice Net Worth 2026 online, you might have found results showing figures like $186 million or $96 million attached to the name Adam C. Spice. Let me save you the confusion. That's a completely different person. Adam C. Spice is the CFO of Rocket Lab, an aerospace company, and his net worth is indeed in the nine-figure range. But our Spice, Grace Hamilton, the Queen of Dancehall, has built her fortune through music, television, and endorsements, not aerospace engineering. It's a weird coincidence of names, but I wanted to clear that up because I know some of you will Google this later and wonder if I got it wrong. I didn't. We're talking about two completely different people who happen to share a last name. I want to leave you with something to think about. Spice recently called 2026 her month of grace, not just her name, but the concept of grace itself. Unmerited favor, second chances, blessings you didn't earn but receive anyway. After everything she's been through, she understands grace at a level most of us never will. She understands that every breath is a gift, every performance a privilege, every moment with her children a treasure. That's why her 2026 is shaping up to be so massive. When you know how close you came to losing everything, you show up differently. You appreciate differently. You create differently. The music hits harder because it comes from a place of genuine gratitude. The performances mean more because you remember what it felt like to wonder if you'd ever perform again. The controversies roll off your back because you've faced actual death and won. So here's my question for you, and I want you to really think about it. What would you do differently if you had come as close to death as Spice did? What would change about your life if you spent 2 years recovering from 7 surgeries, watching your skin grow back, hearing doctors tell your family to say goodbye? Would you be brave enough to change directions the way she did? Brave enough to release a gospel album when your entire brand was built on shock value? Brave enough to go back to your roots after everyone had accepted the new you? Brave enough to integrate every part of who you are instead of hiding behind a single image? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read them, and I want to know what you think. Do you believe Spice's soft girl era is permanent, or will the Queen of Dancehall always return to her throne? Is it possible to be both spiritual and secular, or does she need to pick a lane? Let me know your thoughts, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next deep dive into the lives of your favorite celebrities. We've got some incredible stories coming up, including a look at another Jamaican icon who transformed their life against all odds. Until next time, remember what Spice taught us. Your body might try to poison you, the doctors might give up on you, but as long as you're still breathing, your story isn't over. Make the next chapter count.